down a little bit more.
Step down a little bit.
Thank you so much.
Why did you file a motion to vacate?
Today I filed a motion to vacate after Speaker Johnson has betrayed our conference and broken our rules. We were promised regular order. That's what our conference had started out as, with rules and promises to the American people that we would bring regular order back to Congress. Speaker Johnson has betrayed that by passing 3 CRs and then forcing us to pass or to vote on a 2-part omnibus, the second one being today. He also only gave us, I don't even know how, we had 1 day basically to read 1,012 pages, breaking the 72-hour rule. This is a betrayal of the American people. This is a betrayal of Republican voters. And the bill that we were forced to vote on forced Republicans to choose between funding to pay our soldiers and in doing so, funding late-term abortion. This bill was basically a dream and a wish list for Democrats and for the White House. It was completely led by Chuck Schumer, not our Republican Speaker of the House, not our conference, and we weren't even allowed to put amendments to the floor to have a chance to make changes to the bill. I filed the motion to vacate today, but it's more of a warning and a pink slip. I respect our conference. I've paid all my dues to my conference. I'm a member in good standing, and I do not wish to inflict pain on our conference and to throw the House in chaos. But this is basically a warning, and it's time for us to go through the process, take our time, and find a new Speaker of the House that will stand with Republicans and our Republican majority instead of standing with the Democrats.
Does that mean that's a warning? If it's a warning, if it's a warning, does that mean that you're actually not going to go through and force this vote?
No, I will.
There's nothing that can convince you to back off.
There's not a time limit on this. It doesn't have to be forced and throw the House into chaos. I don't want to put any of our members in a difficult place like we were for 3.5 weeks. We're going to continue our committee work. We're going to continue our investigations. There's a lot of good investigations going that have to be able to proceed, and the American people deserve that. But I'm not saying that it won't happen in 2 weeks or it won't happen in a month or who knows when. But I am saying the clock has started. It's time for our conference to choose a new speaker.
Do you believe that there are more Republicans who support this push? And ultimately, if this does get filed, it could lead to exactly what you're saying: more chaos, more paralysis. Does the House Republican conference want to move forward with that?
It's filed, but it's not voted on. It only gets voted on until I call it to the floor for a vote.
Right.
Jeffries has said he would help potentially, or not he would help, but the Democrats might be willing to help him survive if there was a motion to vacate. Are you worried about putting Johnson in a position where he would actually hold into Democrats?
I'm not worried about that at all. I'm not worried about that at all. I don't think that the American people, Republican voters across the country, want to see a Republican speaker that's held in place by Democrats. This is not exactly what people want.
So what do you need? What do you need to see?
Who would you like to see as speaker?
This would be up to our conference. Our conference works together to choose a speaker, and we need a speaker that supports all of us, not a speaker that breaks the 72-hour rule, will not let us vote on amendments or introduce amendments to major funding bills. This right now, do you want to know the video that everyone is watching today? It's the illegals rushing our border, military-aged men running over Border Patrol, running over the Texas National Guard. And Mike Johnson, the Republican Speaker of the House, handed over every ounce of negotiating power to Chuck Schumer and the Democrats and went ahead and funded the government. When this was our point of leverage, Republicans had the power of the purse. This was our power. This was our leverage. This is our chance to secure the border. And he didn't do it. And now this funding bill passed without the majority of the majority. This was a Democrat bill. This is a Chuck Schumer bill. This is a bill that Joe Biden cannot wait to sign into law. And it is a betrayal of the American people. Here's the problem. Right now, Americans are watching the border. Women are being raped. Women are being killed. Illegals are squatting in people's homes and then killing them when they come to take their houses back. That's just what happened in New York. We're done. We're absolutely done.
What do you need to hear? What do you need to hear from the speaker or anything else to not move forward? What will change your mind to not move forward?
He heard from everyone all week long. Do not break the 72-hour rule. He heard from all of us. He heard from all of us all week long. Allow us to introduce amendments. Allow us to do our jobs. Allow us to represent the districts that voted for us and sent us here. We want a secure border. And the Senate proposal of legalizing 5,000 people coming across the border every day is not securing the border. And this is giving up every point of leverage we have. Also, forcing Republicans to vote on full-term abortion funding in order to fund our military is a complete betrayal of all of our values, and our voters don't want us to be doing that.
What does the process of finding a new speaker look like?
When do you plan to call this resolution to the floor?
Again, I don't have a timeline. That will be a rolling issue that we'll be judging and making decisions by. But I assure you, I'm not the only one. I have support on this from others in my conference. And I'm not introducing this to throw the House into chaos. Committees will continue doing their work. Investigations will continue. I support my conference. Again, I have paid all of my dues to the NRCC and then some. I support Republicans holding the majority next conference, but we need a Speaker of the House that knows how to negotiate, knows how to walk in the room, knows how to hold the line, and knows how to defend America first and the values and the policies that President Trump will bring to that.
Does Trump?
You said that it's time to start the process to find a new speaker. What does that process look like without the motion to vacate?
That process allows everyone to have discussions and internal meetings and conversations. And it allows other people to step forward and say they're willing to run for
So
speaker.
should
we saw that in the fall.
Should Johnson step down from speaker?
That you would like to see as
Not at this time. I want to have conversations and I want to hear from others how they would have handled it.
Have you talked to Trump? Have you talked to Trump about this?
I have not talked to President Trump about
You
this.
said there's more support from Republicans. How many Republicans?
You would need.
I won't give you a number, but I've talked to many who probably won't go public, but silently they're breathing a sigh of relief. Everyone is. You can look at the numbers and the votes of this. This bill was passed without a majority of Republicans. This is a Democrat budget, and it was passed by Mike Johnson.
Should Johnson step down? Should Johnson just step down?
That'd be a choice that he would have to make, but we're going to have to find a new speaker.
You saw what happened in the fall. We saw one, speaker candidate after another fall short of getting the votes necessary. You can't. I mean, how could you possibly even find someone to succeed Mike Johnson who could get the votes, keep this conference together, and not plunge this chamber into chaos?
We're going to have to do it because the country is in crisis. We have a border invasion that's happening every single day. We have Americans under the age of 30, for the first time it's showing in all types of polling, have lost hope for their future. The younger generations can't afford to buy a home. Inflation is running rampant. Our country is in crisis and we need real leaders that know how to fight, that know how to walk in a room and don't get rolled by the deep state and don't get rolled by the Democrats and don't get rolled into doing whatever it takes to maintain that power and position. We need a Speaker of the House that actually represents the people. This is the people's house. This is not Washington, D.C.'s house. This is the people's house.
Hang on,
If
he brings up Ukraine. If he brings up Ukraine.
You're calling this a pink slip, a warning sign. The bottom line, you want Speaker Johnson out.
I wouldn't have filed a motion to vacate if I didn't. We need a new speaker. This is not personal against Mike Johnson. He's a very good man, and I have respect for him as a person, but he is not doing the job. The proof is in the vote count today. He passed a budget that should have never been brought to the floor, did not represent our conference, and it was passed with the Democrats and without the majority of the majority.
What happens if he moves on Ukraine? What happens if he moves on any aid to Ukraine?
That would also go against what the American people want. Polling shows that it's approximately 70% of the American people do not support continuing a war in Ukraine.
But would that be a triggering event for you?
The motion to vacate's already been filed.
No, but we can call it out.
He should not bring funding for Ukraine.
Just to clarify, thank you. Sorry in the back. Thank you. You are saying you will call for this vote, or you're saying you're still? I know you said no time.
I'm saying that we've started the clock to start the process to elect a new speaker, and I'm giving my conference time. I'm being respectful to my conference, but many members in my conference agree. Even though it's uncomfortable, it's a process none of us want to go through. It has to happen.
So this is kind of a way to avoid.
Won't you be teaming with Democrats as well by ousting the Speaker of the House? just like Speaker Johnson did in teaming with Democrats to pass the government funding bill?
We have to find a new Speaker of the House. I'm not sure how that vote count would be, and I've heard a lot of Democrats may support him, so I'm not sure how that works
If they
out.
do that, don't you worry that you're basically pushing him or any new speaker into the arms of Democrats? Because like at a certain
He's
point,
already in the arms of Democrats, and it's proof in the vote count today. This was a Democrat bill. This was not a Republican bill. We weren't allowed to introduce amendments. We weren't allowed to have a say. We weren't even given the respect of the 72-hour rule to read 1,012
So you think
pages.
it would be better to shut the government down then? I mean, you were up against the clock. Would it have been better to
It
shut
would
the
have been
government down?
better back in October when he became speaker to have actually worked on appropriation bills, stayed with single appropriation bills, and done what all of us had set out to do.
could
Do
you
you
guys
think
bring
they do-
McCarthy back? Could you
Guys,
bring
I'm gonna
McCarthy back?
head
Do you
down.
think there would be the votes for that? I mean, technically, he doesn't have to be a member. I mean, is that? I know you support him, so I'm just wondering.
Do you really think that there's someone who can get 218 votes to become speaker?
I certainly hope so.
I mean, it was so hard to go the last time.
It
You're
was
gonna go
hard.
through.
It was hard to go the last time, but look at where we are now. They just passed a funding bill that doesn't secure our border, does nothing to stop the daily invasion. This budget funds full-term abortion. It funds DEI. It funds trans ideology on our youth as young as 12 years old. We're already in crisis. So
Is this
it's
the fight that
time for real leadership.
Is this the fight
It's
you
ti-
want to have in an election year?
Absolutely. It's the fight I want to have in the election year because damn it, I want to win that House. I want to win the White House. I want to win the Senate, and I want to restore this country back to greatness again, back to safety, back to security for every single American, because right now we don't have it. And that's the fault of Democrats and the Biden administration.
Councilman, you were against this when it was Kevin McCarthy was in the speakership after he cut a deal with Democrats for the budget. Why is this any different?